Hello everyone and welcome for another video of Love and Wargames. In this video we're gonna play a 2 versus 2 game of two enlightened players, our historic enlightened players that will fight against a combined Commonwealth and Crown fleet. I will play the Commonwealth and we have a new player that will play the Crown for this time. Before we start to have a look at the deployment of everyone, we will first have a little break and have a look at the reasons in the fluff for this battle. Let's meet right after.
Following the White Flotilla's victory against the Prussians in the construction of a naval outpost on the southern coast of the main landmass of Archipelago Alpha, Admiral Stolyarenkova enacted the second phase of her plan. She knew that her main rival in these islands was the enlightened mad genius Makarov, and that he was puppeteering a lot of factions in this region for his own gain. To end this once and for all, Stolyarenkova built a strong battle group composed of Russian ships of the White Flotilla as well as British ships of Task Force Mordred. They were sent with one objective: to find Makarov, kill him, and end his reign of terror. Of course, Makarov understood quickly what the White Flotilla intended. The enlightened captain was many things, but a coward was not one of these things. And thus he sailed forth aboard his Hypatia-class flagship, the Paradox Engine, alongside a Descartes-class carrier and many cruisers and automatas. In front of him were two legendary ships. The first was the Partusov-class battleship, known as the Frozen Hearth, that had just sunk multiple Prussian flagships, including a Stark Imperium sky fortress, and was now leading a powerful force of Russian ships, including a submarine and a Vitruvian Colossus. The other flagship was the main battleship of Task Force Mordred, the HMS Lion's Roar, thus far undefeated in the Archipelago Alpha. High Templar Mordred had sent a balanced force of British ships, including multiple cruisers and heavy destroyers, as well as an assault submarine. Will Makarov successfully repel this combined invasion of his home base? Or will the enlightened finally meet his end after cheating death half a dozen of times since the beginning of the war for the Vortex Alpha? Let's have a look now with the lists and the deployment.
Bonjour tout le monde. Bon alors du coup aujourd'hui ça va être du Covenant et donc on va commencer avec une escouade de 5 Diogènes suivi d'un Hypatia avec un générateur bouclier magnétique et atomique. Ensuite on va avoir une escouade de 2 Antarctica avec un Heavy Particle Cannon et un Sturginium Atomizer.
Here we go, we have a new battleship of Covenant. Donc first we have 5 Diogene battleship here, 2 Lovelace and 1 Descartes. Yeah, and basically with it I can
Send
wheels for my little friend of the Commonwealth here. It's a perfect line of defense.
Very nice fleet and they're ready to charge, unlike what is in front.
Yeah, and I will play a classical Crown battle fleet. Firstly, I have a Britannia with 3 heavy gun batteries for short-range engagement. It is escorted by 1 Albion with a Shroud, with a Guardian shield generator and 1 heavy gun battery. Also, we use 3 Caliburn frigate as escort token. Secondly, we have an additional Albion cruiser with its own Guardian generator, and this time we have an heavy torpedo turret. And finally, but not lastly, we have 4 Excalibur destroyers.
Very strong.
Quite strong, quite underestimated. And finally, we have on the flank 1 Morgana heavy submarine.
Very well balanced classical fleet. For the Commonwealth, we have here the Borodino, which is actually the name in the version, the Partusov, and it has 3 Ruriks And these rogues are also equipped with small railguns. We don't see it in the model because it's not there yet, but let's imagine they have all the railguns possible. They're hidden because I'm trying to mitigate the first range firepower of the enemy, especially the molecular atomizer, which scares me a lot. I have here a Rizak submarine on the flank to make some small attacks and try to take some hull points away. And on the other side of the table, I have a Khatanga with a shield generator in the back, and in the front it has a heavy railgun, like a tri-railgun, and a smaller railgun, good for long-range attack, which he will probably do in the first couple turns. And it also has a drill. So we can really see that here we have all the melee attack of our forces, and it's right where nobody is. Great. That's it for the deployments. About the scenario, very quickly, it's this hold at all costs scenario. So both of us need to go behind the enemy line and into the opponent's deployment area. One activation that I forgot for the Commonwealth, and very important, I have a Marina, which is this giant robot, the more like a melee variant. It is, of course, in unexpected arrival, and it will arrive on turn 2, probably. Now let's go for the first turn. It is the Commonwealth and the Crown that have the initiative. So to start this first turn, the Commonwealth and Crown held their nerve. Then there was a little bit of movement here from the Diogenes hiding there and the Merian hiding here. And then we had to finally move out. The Borodino went out of its cover alongside this Lancelot with torpedoes. The first attack is going to be heavy firepower from the Borodino, supported by the Ruriks and all their railguns. It was not countered because they don't have Fortunes of War in their fleet. However, the Antarctica that we are targeting, which is the one with the Sturgeonium atomizer, is submerged. Thus, it will reduce a lot the firepower of the railguns. It's only going to be 22 dices, because -6 dice for all the weapons that are linking together, unfortunately. That's life. It's going to be 22 dices. They have Shroud, they have Shield, actually -2, yeah, this we counted already. And Atomic, we don't really care. That's going to be fine. We don't count the explosives, like we don't roll additional dices for explosive, because it is submerged. Let's hope for a good roll. That is going to be 20 hits on the nose, which means that it's already twice the Citadel, already crippling the Antarctica, but the Antarctica has some luminiferous defenses because it is a very good ship.
Magique.
And he rolls -3, it's going to be 17, which means it's only going to be 2 damage and 1 critical. Very good for him. Let's roll the critical and see what happens. And the critical is going to be Sturgeonium Flare. Good. He goes forward and takes another point of damage. So the Antarctica has 1 hull point left before he's crippled. I will try 1 heavy torpedo salvo from the Borodino. Oh, that is very bad. I used this card that allows me to reroll any dice, so I will reroll everything because it was not so good. And let's see if it was worth it. It was worth it. 2 explosives. And another explosive. And good. A card well spent. He used one of his cards to remove the Sturgeonium Flare that he had just before reroll the next critical, because even despite his anti-torpedoes defenses, he did get a critical damage. And it was actually a generator offline that he got, and he transformed this into Sturgeonium Flare because of the enlightened science. So he's coming closer and closer, which is a bit worrying, but he is at least now crippled. Now all the Commonwealth has shot, and it's time for the Albion linking its forward torpedoes on the Antarctica, trying to finish it off. 15 dices without rerolls. Oh, 4 explosive.
4 dice. Another critical.
Yeah. Eh ben,
Nothing more.
that is a good roll for the Crown, and a good first roll for this new player. Congrats. And with all these dice rolls, and unfortunately this as a defense roll, The Antarctica is dead before it could use its molecular atomizer. Yeah, it was really our #1 threat, and it is gone. You will probably see the molecular atomizer on another time in another game. The Covenant answers. These Lovelace are coming in to support this Antarctica that had a little bit of maneuvering issues around the rock, and now it is in range to throw torpedoes on this poor Albion. It will receive everything. First activation in as order of fire is going to be the Lovelace. It begins with the torpedoes and one explosive.
Sustain.
Sustain first of all, ouais. And putain, 3 explosive.
Ooh,
And that's another explosive.
that's a great shot.
Okay, that's it. The defense roll -2.
-2.
Okay.
Now the particle beamers in the front. Sustained. One explosive.
Explosive, we roll one.
About the heavy particle cannon. It's 9 dices with devastating, piercing, blast, everything. It's not sustained. We tried to see how much he should use of the Guardian generators. I was like, maybe leave him 1 or 2 dices to be safe. He decided to not use all the Guardian generators. So there's going to be 3 dices of heavy particle cannon. Devastating. Aïe aïe aïe. Et voilà. 6. 6, that is going to be 1 point of damage and 1 critical because it is piercing.
1 dice more.
And explosive, actually. And another explosive.
Yeah. And then I lost.
Anyway, the 2 torpedoes of the Lovelaces did 1 point of damage on this Albion. And now about the 2 particle beamers, it's going to be the last attacks of this time for the Enlightened. So our crown player used his last Guardian generators to remove 4 dices. He's out of Guardian generator points. And now we will see the particle beamer roll. That is a strong roll, in the sense like they made them fly away. Yeah. As we've seen, the particle beamer roll was bad, but the Descartes now has the very good command code rule, which means he can give a full reroll once per round and not once per game. And of course, he's going to use it right now. So particle beamer roll once again. Sustain still. Good. And the 6 is going to be 1 point of damage more. Activation now of the Commonwealth and the Crown. I activated my Chizak. We just moved a little bit forward. Its rocket cannot shoot at anything because everybody is submerged for now. The torpedoes went on this Merian. I did 12 hits actually, and he needs with his 6 dice of SDV to make at least 3 counters, otherwise he dies. About the rocket 5, tranquille. The Morgana here tried to shoot this Lovelace, but it did not go well at all, doing no point of damage. The Descartes activated, he used heavy firepower. Yes, he used heavy firepower on this Albion and it obliterated the Albion. The Albion is down. And now the Hypatia is charging down. He tried to use heavy firepower with a card at 54 against the Borodino. We used the card at 57 to counter this. It was not really needed, but we went up for the challenge. Thanks to ablative armor and being in long range, it's only going to be 12 dices, but it is sustained. Let's see what he does. Sustained. Okay, that's going to be 1 point of damage. The Ratanga moved forward, he turned hard, and now he's in range of quite a few things. He sees only 1 Merian here and those guys, but here, because of the Hypatia, the Lovelace and the Hypatia are very tanky, unfortunately. So I'm gonna try instead to target this Diogenes, which is the only one I can see. And it's gonna be 8 dices, because it is submerged, so -1 dice, but at least I will not suffer from the shield generator. So 8 dices, because I'm leaking the 3 railgun and the railgun. Only 1 hull point left on this beautiful Diogenes. And now the Excaliburs, after some very good maneuvering, went in this position exactly. The 4 of those are gonna send their torpedoes this way, but first they're going to shoot all of them on the Lovelace. Oh no, actually not all of them, the one all the way in the back is a bit too far. But why they went this, they burnt a card to say that they are going to cross the T, which means that their gun batteries and their broadsides lose all their qualities and they are only sustained now. This is going to be important because this way the Lovelace will not be able to use its luminiferous defenses. That should have been 21 dices, -2 because of the shield generator, and no explosives because he's shrouded. Sustained. Luckily for them that they don't roll additional for explosives. In total, that has been 3 points of damage. We were 1 hit away from the double critical. And the critical damage, because it was first of all a generator shutdown, and it has been transformed into a Sturginium flare. And this makes it so that the Antarctica is now crippled. Ouch. And now to the torpedoes. So the torpedo salvos are going to be 18 dices against the Lovelace. And now we roll for the explosives. 4 explosives.
Ah si, pardon.
And that's another 2 explosives. Wow. We have defenses of 6 dices. Oh, pas mal. -5. That was a very good roll. It was 4 times the armor because the Lovelace only has 5 armor. The critical damage was a Sturginium flare, a real one, this one, not from a generator shutdown. And this means that the Lovelace is straight crippled and he has 3 hull points left. That was a lot of damage from the Excaliburs, which proved themselves once again as one of the best units of the Crown. The Covenant forces are out of activation, so it's our turn again. I'm going to roll 1 dice, and if it is the explosive, I give Mojo. If it is explosive, the Marina will arrive on turn 1, anywhere he wants. Let's hope. Oh, je l'ai vu. But no. Unfortunately, we will wait for turn 2. Activation of the Britannia and its attached Albion. First, they are sending all their torpedoes on this Hypatia. There's going to be 15 dices without any reroll or any... Ooh. 3 explosives, yes. And SDV roll now. -3. And now the Britannia and its Albion use heavy firepower to really try to finish off this Antarctica. That's going to be 30 dices, -2 because of the shield generator of the Hypatia. And of course it's going to be shrouded. So no rolling additional from explosives. But still, let's roll. That is a lot of dices. Luckily for him, it is gunnery, so he can use its crippled ADV as luminiferous defenses. -2. 21 is twice the Citadel.
Twice the Citadel, so it's
dead.
full damage.
No. But still, very good roll, and the Antarctica is down. That is the end of the activations for turn 1, and now we are going to resolve these 5 Orcas that were sent by the Descartes. It's going to be 20 dices, sustained and devastating, because there are more tokens than my mass. That's gonna hurt. Sustained. 4 explosives. And another explosive. Okay. And I have a defense roll of -3. That is 3 whole points of damage for the Borodino and 2 criticals. That is defense offline and shield generator offline as well. So he gets a token of disorder as well. That's going to be the end of the turn, and we're going to see for jury-rigged repairs. First activation of the second turn. You will first notice that the Borodino lost 2 whole points, but he jury-rigged repaired his 2 critical damages. The first activations was for us, these Excaliburs are going here to cross the T again against the Hypatia. We burnt a card and they don't have Fortunes of War to cancel it. Torpedoes will go on the Lovelace. And the Borodino also made some maneuvering to do some more railgun action. First, we will see all the gun batteries and the broadsides crossing the T, so they are just sustained on the Hypatia. -3 dices because it has a shield generator and it has a shroud also. So no rolling the additional explosives. It is sustained. In the end, the torpedoes are actually going on this intact Lovelace after much deliberation, and he hopes to cripple it in 1 salvo. He needs 20 hits with 22 dices. Might be difficult, but who knows. let's hope for a very good roll. It's not a very good roll. 3 explosives. And another explosive. Et voilà. After this good roll and not so good defense, it was barely, like it was 21 hits, so 4 hull points lost. It is crippled, and it got the reactor leak as a critical damage. That was a bet, and it was successful.
Yeah.
So we started the shots of the Borodino without filming. The Cryoblast was extremely disappointing, doing nothing. But the torpedoes did 20 hits in total, -4 from the defense, but it was enough to cripple the Hypatia and doing a magazine explosion that touched also this Lovelace. Good shots from the heavy torpedoes and now the railguns. And now, after heavy firepower from the Partusov, that's going to be 21 dices this time because of his shield generator. Its citadel is at 11 now with the railguns. I'm hoping for good rolls, but I don't roll for explosives. Oh, mon Dieu. Good for them that I don't roll for explosives. Thanks to the good Luminiferous defense rolls, he managed to escape, especially because he used this card to counter exploding hits as heavy counters, and this saved him. And he has 1 hull point left after Sturginium Flare. He just managed to evade the iceberg, and probably the next activation might be the Hypatia. Turn of the Covenant. The Lovelaces linked 3 particle beamers on this guy, but they were crippled. They did only 1 point of damage. And the Whaling torpedoes did a good roll, but there was a good defense of the Partusov that was a target in front, and it just barely did no point of damage on the Partusov. The Hypatia used its particle beamer that are also crippled, but they are quite good at point blank, which is just where he went. He tried heavy firepower, but we countered with Fortunes of War from the Partusov. With ablative armor, it's going to be 12 dices sustained. Okay, and 3 explosives. They did 16 hits, so the Borodino suffered 2 hull points and 1 critical damage. That was the -2 citadel and speed. That hurts. And now he's going to board this guy. So the Hypatia has 16 dices thanks to its Fury generator. Trying to board. Ah bah oui, bah s'il fait des bons jets, c'est bien. 5 explosives.
1 more dice.
And another 2 explosives.
Ouch.
Okay. And the defense roll. And of course, the Hypatia, after its great roll, managed to slaughter the poor Excalibur despite a good defense roll. On my activation, I used the Rizak. Its rocket battery did nothing on the Lovelace there, and I did with the heavy torpedo salvo 1 point of damage on this Germain. Sad, but it happens. The Morgana all the way there, activated, and with its torpedo it did manage to do 1 hull point on one of the Diogen that is hidden now, but yeah, 1 hull point of damage, and that's it. The Covenant is charging forward. These Germain variant, Germain, it's the name still, are gonna shoot their particle beamer on this little Excalibur to avoid the ablative armor of the Rurik. That's gonna be 11 dices. Sustained. Oh. Eh ben, luckily it's sustained. Sustained. Eh ben, 3 explosives.
7 damage already.
2 points of damage. 1 hull point left on the Excalibur. And now these Diogen are gonna send a lot of torpedoes on the Borodino. They have pack and turn, like and everything, but there's gonna be a lot of dices, as you can see. Oh, yeah. Sustained.
Oh.
C'est stats, ça. 6 explosives and another explosive.
J'ai l'Alaric. Contre l'Alaric.
That's a lot of hits. I'm gonna make a little defense. -2.
Yep. 26 minus.
Bon, il te reste plus que ton dégât.
Okay, so in the end, only 2 hull points left on the Borodino, and its chaos level goes to the black. Activation of the Commonwealth. The Ratanga that stayed a bit in reserve made a hammer sweep all the way here. It's gonna do its cryoblast on the big pack that is right here. I think my opponent forgot that I had a cryoblast here. And he's gonna focus his railguns, the big one and the small one, on the Lovelace all the way there. It has, since it is crippled, 10 of Citadel, -2 because of its critical damage. It's 8, -1 because of railgun 7. He almost has less Citadel than armor. So I'm gonna have 10 dices because it's not submerged anymore. Oh, c'est pas beau. C'est la vie. And I can get 4 of the Diogenes at the same time. I have 8 dices, but they are not sustained, and I don't roll the additional for the explosives, but they are devastating. Let's hope for a good roll. Ah oui. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna use this card that was right here. It's a reroll card. And with this, we need only 2 hits on this to wipe out 4 Diogenes. Really hoping for 2 hits. Allez, oh no! So sad. Okay, 9, so it's gonna be 2 points of damage. 1 of them is dead, and 1 hull point left on the others. Okay, let's just change what was just said. The Britannia is activating, and it is actually going to send 3 heavy gun batteries on this guy from the Britannia. Boom. 1 heavy gun battery is going to go on one of the Diogène. The broadside are also going to go on the Hypatia in case it's not dead, because we really need it to die. And torpedoes are going on the Lovelace with the reactor leak. Let's see at the end what happened. In the end, the torpedoes absolutely obliterated the Lovelace. The heavy gun battery also did a very good score on this Diogène. However, the broadsides did nothing, and 3 heavy gun batteries did a pretty good roll. Then they tried with Luminifero's defense to do it, but it was not enough, and they used this victory card to reroll the entire thing, and they did this absolutely mad roll, and this this flagship of Markov is still there. They are holding despite all odds, and yeah, they are just staying alive. The Descartes sent its Orcas 3 on the Britannia, 2 on the Borodino, and it's shooting everything at the Borodino, trying to sink it finally. It's going to be 12 dices. Sustained. Sustained. Okay, 3 explosives. Wait, that is going to be indeed a point of damage. He has 1 whole point left. Starts to be difficult. And now, the moment we were waiting, the Marina arrived just behind the Descartes, which was camping in the back. I will be in their deployment zone, which means I will get some additional points. And the first thing I did is charging all the way here, more than 5 inches of movement. And it's gonna be, in the end, 22 dices with piercing and devastating. So that should hurt. 3 explosives. Okay, so that's it for the Marina. He did almost cripple the Descartes, and he did a boarding action later on. It was a draw, so both models get a disorder, and especially the Descartes goes to the black level of disorder, which means it cannot link its weapons together. I'm quite happy. And that's gonna be it for my activations. Let's see for the resolution of the Orcas token. So the Orcas finished off barely, but it was enough. The Borodino on the very, very last point. Unfortunately, the Borodino is going down. The Partusov actually is going down. We will not have Fortunes of War anymore. And they did 1 point of damage on the Britannia, which was with piercing a critical, and it has been a magazine explosion, which did more damage to everyone, not on the escorts, because they are escorts. You need a catastrophic explosion to kill them, or to kill at least one of them. That's going to be it for turn 2. We'll see for turn 3, which should be much, much faster. The Covenant got the initiative this turn, and they activated their 2 motherships. The Hypatia is charging here. Is gonna make a heavy firepower, which was not countered because we don't have Fortunes of War anymore, On the Britannia, Britannia is going to use its Guardian generators to cancel. One broadside on the right on this Excalibur, one broadside obscured on the left on this Ratanga at closing range, I guess we'll need to check, and obscured shield generator, it should not do much. On this side, Descartes tried to go as far as he could. He's going to do a broadside and 2 particle beamers on the Marina and 1 particle beamer on the right. On the Britannia, we'll resolve all the shots, and oh, by the way, the Orcas are all going on the Britannia. We'll resolve all the shots and see at the end. Okay, so a lot happened. The Descartes here did 2 points of damage on the Marina and nothing on the Britannia with its particle beamer. The Hypatia did a lot of damage, critical, that was a Citadel down on the Britannia. 1 point of damage on the Excalibur here, and he tried boarding. It was an extremely good roll, and the Britannia had to use Valor, like a card, to reroll any dice, and it allowed to be a draw. So the Britannia is now in the black level of disorder, chaos and disarray, and the Hypatia of Markov is still in the game. Like, if he dies today, it's gonna be the most beautiful death we've had so far. Now to the Crown and the Commonwealth. We are moving on to attack. The Marina followed the Descartes and charges in, and the Excalibur made some good maneuvering, so it can make broadside on the right, on the left, and torpedoes in the front. First, we're gonna resolve the ramming action. 22 dices on the Descartes with piercing and devastating.
Nice.
Ouch. And 6 explosives, we are way above statistics, and another 2 explosives, and another explosive.
Wow.
Okay, so this is what they call Alaric's rolls. Wow.
Voilà.
So that was 46 hits, it's 5 times the armor. It's already 5 points of damage, 2 more points of damage because of the catastrophic explosion, and rerolled 2 dices, 1 because of the breach of the Citadel and 1 because of piercing. This made another point of damage, so 18 total, which barely just finishes off the Descartes in 1 ramming action, and wow, that was intense. After this absolutely amazing attack of the Marina, I'm shooting first the seismic mortars of the Marina on the Hypatia in the back to try to shoot the unstoppable Markov from the back. And it's not gonna be enough, okay. And now I'm gonna put the blast template here to try to wipe out this entire squadron. It's gonna be 8 dices, not rerolling the explosives. Oh, c'est pas beau.
Nothing.
Oh là là. I used 1 card to make a full reroll, and it's much better. 2 explosives that we don't roll, but it's devastating, so it's gonna be already 6, 7, 8, 9, but they were all damaged. The entire squadron is wiped out, and we gain a point from this. And just something interesting that happened, the Marina can do a Valor effect to try to grab with his big hand another ship within 3 inches and do another Semenov bore attack, but since it's very powerful attack, they can always try to counter it. It was a card that was worth 4 points. We put it at 50 with Valorous Conduct, so they had to spend 2 cards to counter this. And with this, I'm gonna actually try to board the Lovelace. And after a good boarding, the Marina finishes off the last Lovelace. And now the Excaliburs are gonna try to finish off Markov's Hypatia, finally. So it's a lot of rolls, I'm not sure how many dices, but let's see what happens. Whoa. Is it going to be enough? Markov survives still. These Germains are charging. One of them went ramming on an Excalibur, killing it, but the Germain died as well because it's a mass 1 doing ramming action and it didn't do any blank. Now he's gonna shoot on the Marina. It's gonna be 12 dices of particle beamer. We took with the sustained, 3 explosives, and another 2 explosives, and another explosive, and no, that's a lot. The Britannia is shooting everything on the Hypatia.
Nothing.
Okay, we're at the end. It's a military victory of the Commonwealth because they have been pretty much wiped out. But the Apathia of Markov, with his last hull points, he absorbed the entire firepower here of the Britannia and everybody. He survived. Rurik, he survived. All the torpedoes here, he survived. The torpedoes of the Morgana, he survived. The Cryoblast, he also survived. And finally, the railguns did 11 hits. And it's the very last roll of the game to see if Admiral Markov will survive or not. He needs to do 4 counters, and he survives this encounter.
No!
And he's alive.
Survived, yeah.
Yeah, we did boardings as well, etc. No, no way. We cannot do a single point of damage. That's it. That's it. It's the end of the game. Military victory of the Covenant, of the Commonwealth. Moral victory of the Covenant because their admiral survived.
6-4, yeah.
Okay,
And the score?
let's go for the debriefing.
What an incredible strike of fate. Makarov survived against all odds. Even though this was a devastating military defeat for the Enlightened, their leader had cheated death once again, wave lurking to safety. He would certainly return, stronger than ever, especially once he'll receive his new, long-awaited Archimedes-class flagship. The White Flotilla and Task Force Mordred had suffered one specifically painful loss during the battle. The Partuzov-class Frozen Hearth had been destroyed, its hull crushed into an iceberg. Rather than risking an all-out attack against the now barely defended Covenant base, the captain of the HMS Lion's Roar decided to set up a defensive position around the Frozen Hearth and to repair the battleship before returning to their home base. Indeed, the Frozen Hearth had become almost like a myth to the White Flotilla and a boogeyman to its enemies. Thus, preserving it for later battles was more important than inflicting losses on the Covenant. Both factions consolidated their territories. The Covenant colonized all the way until the Alliance lands, while the White Flotilla united all its disparate landing operations near the Prussian front line into one cohesive whole. Finally, the Task Force Mordred kept expanding their territories around their main base, the Bastion of Unity, planning to soon conquer this entire huge island, the 4th largest landmass in the Archipelago Alpha. Now, let's switch to the debriefing.
Okay, that's it for this game. It was very intense all the way until the end, as you have seen. In the end, Admiral Markov is still alive.
So far, yeah.
Yeah, he will be there for season 2, because these are the last battles of season 1. That was a very interesting game. We'll see what you have to say. Avner, what do you think? What do you think of the list you played? It was only for both of these players ships from the Hunt of the Prometheus.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Covenant? Are there some other ships you would like? What do you think?
Yeah, with the ship of the Prometheus box, it's very interesting. We have a small battleship, but it's enough to play and to learn about the specific gameplay of Covenant. It's very amazing after 2 or 3 parts to understand and how we can use your battleship and the specific rules, but it's perfect. I love it. The only point is I don't finish any party with the Covenant, but it's possible to make any good or amazing action with it. It's a very good battleship, and I think I'll buy the ultimate box with another beautiful bot of the Covenant, but I recommend this battleship. It's very amazing, but I think it's a good point if you start with another battleship before. And Covenant is good when you have
experience
and good experience. Yes.
Right. Yeah, it's not so easy for beginners. But yeah, it's more resilient than we think, Covenant, because they have Luminiferous defense, which can help, sometimes a lot.
Exactly.
We have Steve that survived all the way until the end.
Yeah, very, very, very intense defense.
He's like,
well, it's a
he
very
really thought his character would die, and
we
in the
managed
end,
to make survive the Markov wrong. Yeah.
yeah, it's a good fleet to play.
Yeah.
It was your first game of Dystopian Wars.
Yes.
What did you think?
Oh, it's an amazing game, yes. I'm quite proud to have participated in this game and this campaign as a whole. Clone is a very good faction for beginners since it's quite easy to handle. It's straightforward.
Yeah. The contrary of the Covenant.
Yes, but it has its own strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. Once you know how to counter them, I imagine it's quite vulnerable despite its high defense. And its offense is quite low once you take some disorder condition at the second level. You need to have a strong squadron in order to make good effects.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Commonwealth, my little dear ships. I mean, I love the Commonwealth as a gameplay faction, and they're still very fun, very sturdy. Like they're very defensive, and their main weapons are all of them devastating, which is a keyword I love because I love to do sixes, and I do a lot of them. And when it goes well, it really goes well with the Commonwealth.
Yeah, there is a lot of roll specific.
Alex rolls.
But today we have the steel roll.
Yeah, Steve's role is when it's very good in defense. Like I don't know. We didn't film everything, but he just did like out of 5 dices, he did like in average 8 counters every roll of defense. It's like okay, sure, we don't touch you. It was a very fun game. We hope you enjoyed watching it. As always, don't forget to give us thumbs up. It really helps the algorithm. Giving us a comment also helps even more the algorithm, so let us know what you thought, if you thought it was fine. Let us know what you want us to play next time as factions, that could be interesting as well. And until the next video, remember to keep spreading the love all around you. Bye!